I'm Kimberly Flores with the Salt Lake Chamber, and this month the Salt Lake Chamber is celebrating Women's History Month, where we're highlighting local female leaders who are making a difference in Utah business and in their local community. And today I'm joined by Lauren Walker. You are the Chief Supply Officer for Young Living Essential Oils.
Yes, I am.
Thank you so much for being here today, Lauren.
Pleasure to be here.
So we want to know a little bit about who you are, where you came from. Tell us, what is a Chief Supply Officer? What do you do at Young Living Essential Oils?
Well, exactly that. I'm responsible for end-to-end supply chain for Young Living. So everything from where we get our precious oils from vendors from around the world and farmers and growers, to all of the raw materials that come in to help produce our products, to manufacturing, to getting it in distribution throughout the world. So from the very beginning to the very end, my team is responsible for executing all of that.
And headquartered here in Utah, did a job bring you here? Are
Yes,
you from Utah?
Yes, we've been here for about a year and a half now, and it's been fabulous. I was born and raised in Brooklyn, New York, and grew up, I'm an engineer by degree, undergrad. And after college, it's taken me, continued west. My last stop was in Michigan, in Grand Rapids.
Oh, nice.
And I came here to join Young Living back in 2016, so it's been wonderful for us. We've loved this community.
So CSO, this is not the first time you've had a job of this caliber. You've been working for international high-profile companies your entire career. Tell us a little bit about your progression and where your career took you.
Absolutely. So I went to engineering school and upstate New York, and from there I worked at mostly larger companies, Fortune 500 companies. Spent the bulk of my career at Procter & Gamble, Johnson & Johnson, and the latest in my career was at Amway. I was responsible for their global supply chain, mostly in manufacturing. And this opportunity came up, and I was thrilled about it. But as an engineer undergrad, it took me, manufacturing was really my first role in a technical role. And then I loved the manufacturing environment and decided to stay in the supply chain arena throughout my career, and it's just been fantastic for me.
Where do you go from engineer up to a C-level? How do you get there, and what do you need? What do you need to drive you to that?
You know, I have a lot of women mentors, not just in my organization, but also externally. I support a lot of women just to talk through career discussions and the path that I've taken. And I certainly don't prescribe anyone to go out and definitely do what someone else has done, because you have to find navigate your own path and what works for you. But for me personally, it's been, the term I use is getting over myself. I'm an introvert, and I have this comfort zone that, nice little relaxed. But I've noticed over the years, I think what's really allowed me to do more and take on more responsibilities is getting out of that comfort zone and stretching what I call the rubber band. And my rubber band over the weekend relaxes and goes back. Yeah. But as rubber bands go, you stretch, and over time, you take a look at the rubber band, that circle is expanded, right? And so the things that you take on are new and engaging and growthful. I've had so many women who have had phenomenal assignments for them, and they were unwilling to take those assignments. So fear of the unknown, I can't do that. I can't compete in that area. And those limitations are what really hold us back. And I've never once said no to an opportunity that was presented to me, because I know it stretched me, and I know I have the background, and I know I have the substance to really grow and develop an organization. So it's growthful for me, and I think it also is growthful for the organization in which I take that new responsibility on.
So what was the best piece of advice you did get from those mentors and those women in your life?
Yeah, stretch yourself. Really look at opportunities that come your way, and see what tools you can leverage within your toolbox, what mentors you can utilize to really understand how you can engage in that particular environment. But take a step out there. If someone's recognized that you have the potential to do something, you've probably got it. Oftentimes we think, oh, we can't do that. If someone's reached out to you, they've recognized something in you that you may have recognized. Take them up on it and go for it, and you'll be surprised at what you can do and grow and develop into.
What does it take for an introvert to believe in him or herself? Or is that there, or those two different things?
What helps is being married to an extrovert.
Okay.
So my husband is Mr. Social Butterfly. I tell you, he's responsible for our social calendar, because if it was up to me, we'd stay home and watch movies all day. But we get to do so many amazing, exciting things because of him pushing and so when we hear I'm going out to dinner, I'll complain for like 2 hours prior to the dinner. But when I get there, I'm having so much fun, I'm the last to leave. So So it's again, it's getting out of that comfort zone and taking on new things. But
I say that to my husband a lot. He always laughs because I'm like, babe, I'm glad we did this. I'm glad you drugged me out. I'm glad you pushed me to ski an extra hour, or whatever it may be.
That's funny. Our daughter is just like my husband,
Yeah.
so she's complete extrovert. My son is more like me. We're the homebodies type.
What about in business? What does Young Living do to promote women within the business?
Yeah, so as I was saying earlier, 50% of our leadership team is comprised of women, and it's active for us. And so it comes up as a part of our culture when we look at number one, who are the people who are using our products? Do we have a staff and team that kind of represents that population and that group that can relate, that can help, that can grow those opportunities for those members? That's important. And also when we look at the people in our organization, I mean, we equally tap people. We provide people with different opportunities and projects and programs so that they can grow and develop, so that they can move outward in the organization. But it's active. It's not something that you can do passively. It takes leaders that believe in it. It takes leaders that know it's important and make it a priority. And I also, when I look at organizations, culture is critical.
Right.
And as a leader, establishing the right culture that you want your team to thrive in is important for you as a leader. And I go back to this all the time, like language and labels are important.
Yeah.
When I was working in my last job, I had my entire team actually was men at the time. And they would use language like those gals or girls did this. And I had not ever heard them use that label or that terminology with men. Like, I don't hear them call them boys or... And when we as women allow those labels to be used at us, to us, with us, or about our group, it's diminishing.
Right.
It's not. It says that, okay, the men are men, but you have not evolved. So it's mental, and so the challenging and pushing back the language that we use, and how we treat and call each other, the labels that we use when we associate with different people, it starts there. And we as women have an accountability to ensure we hold people responsible for that.
And that's a good reminder, because I find myself catching myself saying, because I have a staff we have a staff here that are predominantly women, and I'll say girls or gals, and catch myself saying, no, if we ourselves allow that, it'll be very easy for our counterparts to use that kind of language. And as you mentioned, language has power.
It certainly does.
So we need to uplift our female colleagues.
Yeah.
What about women beneath you? Who are you mentoring, and how do you find young women to help lift up?
Exactly. So in supply chain, it tends to not look like other organizations. It tends to be predominantly male. And so I do a lot of, of course I mentor men as well, but I also do a lot of coaching and mentoring of women. And I look for women specifically who, show initiative, who show great promise, who've maybe even reached out to me, or even maybe I've just tapped on the shoulder to say, hey, you have something special, or I loved what you said in that meeting. Or, when you confronted that issue and you stood up for something that really, I really valued it and appreciate that. And I would love to develop a relationship with you. There's a lot of pressure to be a mentor or a mentee, and there's a lot of expectations. And so I don't push myself on people. I start off with a one-to-one, and sometimes the personalities are great and it's a fruitful relationship. There are times when it's not, and you kind of recognize that and you move on. But I am very candid about tapping into resources to see, hey, I'd love to just do lunch with you one day. And then as we communicate and as we share, because I expect to get something out of the relationship too. I expect to learn maybe what is it that people at that level of organization are experiencing. How can I help? How can I change what I do, how I lead, to help have a better impact on others in the organization. So it's a win-win. It's not just me developing and coaching them, but also they're developing me as a leader.
You can learn from your mentees as well.
Yes.
And then what are the traits or the talents that maybe some of these young women are bringing to an organization like yours? And I know that you're saying it's obviously a very female customer-centric company, and that's why you want to bolster up that as well. But women bring something else, another dynamic to the workforce or the workplace.
Absolutely.
What have you noticed?
Yeah, and maybe this is a stereotype, but there's a nurturing effect. As a mother, as kind of just a woman in the community, I nurture. And that comes across in my leadership style too. It's not condescending at all, but it's certainly a leadership that really has a lot of empathy that goes along with it. And I think that goes a long ways, because when people feel that you care not just about, of course, business results are critical, that's why we're all there, but when you care about the person and the employee and that they truly matter, and matter of fact, they're the most important person, and you're sincere about that, and you mean that, you ask them how their day is. There's everyone in my, we have, so I'm responsible for supply chain. I probably have the lion's share of the employees, and I could tell you something probably about most people. I could say, how was your son's football game? Or, I heard your wife is not feeling well. Is there anything we can do to support you or support? And that goes a long way. And I think that empathy and nurturing plays a role in business. And I think that's why we start to see so many more women leaders, because there's a balance there that is really warm and comforting. It makes people want to give more and do their very best in an environment.
What would you tell future female leaders who may be watching this?
Yeah, many things. One is, as I said earlier, is look for those opportunities and engage, and don't step away. Use it as an opportunity to learn and grow and to be the best that you can be, because the world is counting on you. I think women have a certain skill set that is just naturally fitting in the business world. And if they step up and they take on these responsibilities, they make it better, not just for the company, but for the world.
Give yourself a chance. It means something. Well, Lauren Walker, thanks so much for being here today.
Thank you so much for having me, Kimberly.